welcome to the first episode, well, the second episode, but first part of me putting together the wargaming table. The wargaming table idea is to build a 6x4 table out of wood that is very stable, that is not as wonky as this one, which is an IKEA table, well, not IKEA table, but IKEA legs. They are very wonky and not stable, horrific. Horrible, not horrific. Horrific is actually good, I think. So, okay, so just a note, all the measurements that I'm going to be speaking of in here, except for the 6x4, which is in feet, are going to be centimeters. Everything in Poland is in centimeters, we don't use inches and feet. So, what I've done, I've bought 8 of these, which are 2 centimeters thick, 6 centimeters wide and 2 meters long. These will be my construction material for the table, so they will be somewhere here, on the sides, obviously, and also at the bottom, at the very bottom, to hold these legs together. Additionally, they're going to create a platform for the shelf, the first shelf. I might be doing another shelf, but I at least want one shelf. So, 8 of these, right? I will have to cut them to 183 centimeters and 122 centimeters, if I'm not mistaken, which is going to bring it a little bit more than 6x4. But all the gaming mats, if you noticed, if you play it on gaming mats, they are not usually precisely measured. Usually a little bit bigger. So these are my legs. Well, not my legs, the wooden legs for the table. These are my legs. So, as I was mentioning previously, the height, the crotch height is perfect for gaming tables, in my opinion, because you don't have to lean too much. So, as you can see, this table is in perfect height, because I can, without leaning too much, I can do everything. If the table would be like on this height, it's a bit less comfortable. So I bought these 6 of these, 85 centimeters long, and that's obviously, as you can see, that's not perfect. But I've got these sort of not spacers, but special plastic legs to adjust the level of the table. So I will first screw them on like so and create what do you call it? Adjustment bit. So this is 85 centimeters, this is apparently 5 centimeters or 6 centimeters, so that's 90 centimeters, plus the thickness of the table, which is 2 centimeters, 92 centimeters, and I believe I measured my perfect table height at 95 centimeters, so that's, I can live with that. So this is it, these are the parts that I'm going to be using. For the top, I decided to reuse the plates that I already have. These are, I don't know what they're called in English, these are like a chipboard, I believe. There is also an MDF and the layered wood, I believe we call it sklejka, but you probably call it layered wood, like layers of wood are glued together, call it whatever you want. So these are the 3 main ones that you would be using. MDF is obviously, depending on the thickness, it's very wobbly and it doesn't give you the comfort of being very stable. Chipboard is quite good and it's cheap, and glued wood is expensive, but it's wood, so it's not going to chip, it's not going to fall apart, and it's better with with moisture. In Poland we don't have problems with moisture like in US or UK, where I would have to consider this, because chipboard has a tendency, sometimes if it's a high humidity, to warp in different sizes, different ways. So I can use chipboard, which is the medium, sort of a middle ground. It's cheap and it's rigid and it's stable. It's a nice stable platform. So without further ado, let's move on to putting this stuff together. I decided to take a break over here, and I didn't want to show you every single thing I do because it's boring, probably. So I've put this side of the table together. Now what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be putting exactly the same side, the other side. The reason why I decided to go with shelf over here, not at the bottom as I initially planned, is that it makes more sense. And over here I will be able to store my terrain, and over here I will be able to store my army cases, which don't really need any further protection, any additional protection from dogs and kids and alike. So the terrain will be here. I will basically cut some MDF or chipboard, anything that I will find or buy to make shelves. And yeah, that's it. So I measured it like 36 centimeters, more or less. More or less. I don't know why it's not set at 36. Well, it is 36, but I'm measuring it wrong. Yeah, it is exactly 36 centimeters because I've got another 36 or so, 37 underneath, so I will have exactly the same shelves. Obviously, you need to add this space over here, like 5 centimeters, 6 centimeters over here, so I can slide some terrain in. But none of my terrain is that high. But just in case I want to store a stompa or whatever, or some miniatures as well. So, moving on to further, I'm going to be building next side and then putting those panels together. Obviously, as you can see, this is not very stable. I'm not sure if the floor is not uneven or the legs. I've made something wrong, but it works. So I'm going to be putting those little legs now. The problem is that you have to unscrew them all the way, then screw them in, and then put these back on. Lots of work, lots of menial work that I hate. But what can you do? Let's get to it, and I see you in a second. So we are at the last stage of building the frame for the table. So far it turns out to be very strong and very rigid. This floor should be quite flat. That's why I'm building it this way, trying to catch the angles, the right angle with the right angle. But I don't really need it because the whole dimensions are there, right? So even if it's something is going to stick out, it's just going to be minimal. The only thing the two things that I've learned tonight is that I can cut the pieces of wood very precisely, 122 centimeters, and not to leave screws in places where you can kneel. Because I went with my knee onto the head of the screw and I cut my skin and it bleeds and it hurts like a mud. So right now I noticed that I forgot one thing, or not forgot, I didn't think about one thing today when I was buying the wood, is to buy additional pieces of wood for here, obviously to go inside. There's two reasons for it. It's going to give additional support and I can maybe push them outside a little bit, so force them in, so it's going to give additional strength, because I think that if there's some tension, it creates, the sides want to go inside and are being pushed outside, so it gives additional rigidness, strength. And obviously I'm going to do them for both sides. Two reasons for it. First, well, it's going to hold stronger, but I'm not going to use the long screws because I don't need them to go through like that. I'm just going to use like really short screws, but because it's going to be only a support in the middle, and the only forces are going to be going this way, not this way, obviously, and maybe sideways, because they're going to be inside here. So additionally, when I put the top in, I will have a place to screw it on with some smaller screws to make it stay where I want it to stay. So, well, I'm just going to carry on with putting it together. I'm going to clean it up over here, put it upside down, and show you how it looks like and how, hopefully, stable and rigid. Rigid, that's a really weird word. How stable it is. I finished building the frame. It's completely done right now, except for the middle, as I said before, middle bits to support it. I just used this chipboard, and just in case you were wondering, this is chipboard. So it's a 1 centimeter, 2 centimeters thick chipboard with some coat. I've used this to show you the difference between this and the MDF that I've got on the other side, that I'm gonna replace them in a second. So if I used chipboard tiles like these, 3 of those, or 2 smaller ones, 2 bigger ones for the halves, there would be almost no bouncing, except for the slight, maybe very slight bouncing in the middle. Obviously that would be even stiffer, because like over here, I would say there would be no bouncing off that table surface at all. But if we took this away and put the MDF, which over here I've got obviously the MDF that should not be used for table surface, but it's more for like terrain or shelves. At least I've used it for shelves, for miniatures. This is too bouncy. Even with some supports over here, it's still too bouncy. You can feel the bounce, and you would have to have middle sections over here, and the other way around underneath the table to make it fit. Which I think you would spend more money for the wood to support it than you would spend for this. So I'm going to go with these, and additionally these are going to give me constructual support. So this is as we say, joking in Poland. This is the table. This is how it looks like. I'm not going to be putting any schematics of it, because obviously it's that simple. But if you don't have the awareness and cannot really figure out how I put it together for some reason, please let me know in the comments on YouTube, Facebook, or Blogspot to show you how I've done it, and I'll be more than happy to take additional photos, maybe even draw something for you. And the really cool way that appears to be very cool are these adjustable legs that I can really balance and level the table. I had some problems with the middle ones for some reason. I had to adjust them slightly, and bang, it's all level, more or less, at least for the miniatures. So this table is, I need to be very careful. It's rigid, it's very stable, but at the same time I can move it quite easily, especially if I support it in the middle. I can move it quite easily, turn it around, put it in a corner, put it this way, put it the other way, to make some space in this room. There's one thing that I also was planning to make as maybe a smaller table, like a 4x4 that I could 4x4 that I could use for something else, and do it exactly the same way. So in eventuality that I want to play a bigger game, I can put it next to it and have a 10x4, which is for apocalypse games. It's cool. For 40k, not so much, because it's too big, but that's just maybe in the future. So all in all, this project was not that very expensive. You should close it in at least in Poland, you should close it in maybe something like $75 euros. So yeah, I would say it's a great success. The table looks cool. If you want to see more of things like that on my blog, subscribe, share, and like, whatever. Liking videos gives me a great confidence boost, so if you can do that, please do. If you didn't like the video, dislike it, but please in the comments put why, so I can fix it. How do they call it? Constructive feedback. Yeah. Thank you guys, and I see you next time. Bye.